rampant fear of the Christian God is rushing through the halls of justice all around the world. No, it's not an in-depth article covering anti-Christian episodes step by step, around the globe. No, it's nothing like that. It's more or less just one more of the many evidences out there that Christianity is most assuredly in the gun sights of Satan. This fear is real, and there is a reason for it. Psalm 14:5 says, There were they in great fear, for God is in the generation of the righteous. So they're going to be, a lot of them fear us, not realizing it's not us they should be fearing, because none of us, well, there are some people out there that says, I'm a prophet, or I'm a bishop or whatever, or I'm a theologian. There are people that want to take that which God gives them as if they are the ones that did it. But the true child of God, no. We understand they don't really fear us. It's just like on that last day when the eastern sky's splitting and the rainbows are above our heads. We're looking up even though they're down there kissing our feet and worshiping us. We don't care. We know they don't understand. It is not us. It is Christ our righteousness. Just like the weak soldier fears the stronger soldier because they have the abilities that they cannot match in battle, the wicked fear the Christian because we have the Creator God within our hearts. But they fear our God for all the wrong reasons. For it is also written in Proverbs chapter 1, verse 7, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. The fear of God is welling up in the hearts of some within the United Kingdom, and rightfully so, I might add, as he's about to stop all this foolishness, pretty graphically in the coming days. In the article, it states this, and this is from WorldNet Daily, January 20th, 2010, under their Faith Under Fire section, and its article titled, Dump Christian Crosses, but Keep Muslim Hijabs, or hijabs, they call it. It says, a case has been launched in the Court of Appeal for Great Britain over a rule imposed by British Airways on employees allowing Muslims to wear a hijab, Jews to wear skull caps, Sikhs to wear religious bracelets, but banning a Christian woman from wearing a tiny silver cross necklace. The airline argued that wearing the cross was Awida's choice, I guess that's the woman's name, but it is not required of her Christian faith. The tribunal's opinion said other symbols such as turbans and bangles cannot be concealed and so are allowed. All right? Now, as we can see, the excuse offered up by the airlines was the cross is not required of a Christian faith. Yes, that's 100% unequivocally, absolutely true. But at the same time, that is nothing more than a silly response fabricated by those that have no clue as to what some people hope to proclaim by wearing crosses. Now, don't get me wrong here. I do not condone wearing crosses or any religious items on the body, in the home, or on the church buildings in any way, shape, or form, because it does, in fact, lead to idolatry. This is boldly illustrated by the faith of the Roman Catholic Church with all their strange religiosities. The fact the woman is claiming Christ as Lord of all is what really scares them here. It's not that cross. Right? Truth is, if she was wearing, let's say, any religious icon, as long as it's not considered Christian in any way, shape, or form, they're okay with it. So, yes, the cross is not how we as Christians should share our faith. Truth be known, it's a morbid symbol, to say the least. Rome has glorified the most torturous method of execution known to man by demanding the wearing of such items upon the people she controls over the centuries. It's no more than a constant reminder to those they persecute that they have the power to kill you. This is boldly illustrated best within the one and only Catholic Church, wherein they have a dead Jesus hanging on that cross, where all the other churches have an empty cross. To put this into perspective, imagine if Jesus came to earth to share his truth in our day, and we killed him on an electric chair. Would people be wearing electric chairs around their necks 2,000 years from now? Sounds pretty morbid, right? It's not the cross that saves the soul. It's who died on that cross that saves the soul. Hebrews chapter 2, verse 9 says, but we see Jesus, who was made a little lower than the angels for the suffering of death, crowned with glory and honor, and he, by the grace of God, should taste death for every man. And then 2 Timothy 1:10 says Jesus actually abolished death and hath brought life and immortality to light through the gospel. Jesus said, it's our fruits that makes our faith known to man, not the outward displaying of religious icons upon the body. If it was that easy to be considered holy, why did Jesus rebuke the leaders of the church 2,000 years ago? The people looked upon them, like the Pharisees and Sadducees and scribes, they looked upon them as if they were holy men, and mostly because they dressed the part. But in Matthew 23:27, Jesus plainly said, woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you are like unto whited sepulchres, which indeed appear beautiful outward, but are within full of dead men's bones and of all uncleanliness. No, wearing the cross is not a sin, but it can and does usually lead to idolatry, which is sin. Of this we have no doubt, just by looking at Rome. Now, in the article I shared a minute ago, the British authorities at the airline suggested certain items of the non-Christian religions were required by their faith and therefore allowed on the plane. So I checked them out. I wanted to find out if they were telling the truth here. Were these things really required? So first off, I looked at the requirements of the Muslim women as per regarding the hijab, which is, the hijab is, what do you say? It's that clothing that they wear. They cover themselves from head to foot, usually black clothing, and they got a little spot open for their eyes, and sometimes they actually even cover their eyes with like a lace. That's the hijab. Well, I found out that the British Airways were lying, or at least the one speaking for them was ill-informed. But then that's always par for the course in today's media. We are living in the age of lying. I found the hijab is not required. In fact, some are quite adamant about it not being required. Not only is it not required for single women, it is especially not required for women over the age of marrying. They do have a strict dress code for those that choose not to wear the hijab, yeah. But as for the hijab itself, no, it's not required. Another interesting fact that I found about the hijab is the Taliban, which is a known terrorist organization, does in fact require the wearing of the hijab. That being the case, the airline is actually bowing to the terrorist and not the Muslim people at large when they suggest the hijab is a requirement of all Muslim women. And this really strikes a gong here, because if you think about this, it looks to me like what we see happening here in America, for example, with a Muslim president and all these Muslim laws that are starting to come into our halls of justice. And then after Twin Towers go down, it looks to me like Rome is saying, look, we are going to use the Muslims the way we used Hitler to kill a bunch of people. And now you've got to get used to the fact that Sharia law is going to start becoming global. We're going to put these Muslims up front because they're going to be our henchmen and they're going to go for it, or whatever. It looks to me like they're bowing all around the world at the same time. So the truth is, most of us do in fact know Muslim women right here in the USA. Right? And not all of them wear the hijab. Right? After doing the research, as I see it, it appears that only two types wear the hijab today: extremely religious or fanatical type Muslims, or those under a terrorist regime. And no, I'm not suggesting all American Muslim women have husbands that are terrorists. I'm just stating the facts as anyone on the planet can research for themselves. All right? So, as for the skull cap of the Jewish people, or the yarmulke, the custom is that it be worn to remind the person at all times that they are under the authority of God. This, too, is not required. However, some will argue it is required during prayer time. Still, even if that were true, Jews on airplanes, in shopping malls, or at work wearing the skull cap or the yarmulke are not at a prayer time while doing so. So again, no, it's not required. Another thing that most don't seem to realize, it is a fairly new tradition as well. It started only 500 years ago. Had it been an actual biblical requirement to wear the skull cap or the yarmulke, it would have been mentioned in Scripture as such, and it would have started thousands of years ago. So here, once again, we see the British are using deceptive language so as to keep their anti-Christian agenda hidden to some extent. And then finally, the bracelet, or that kara, they call it, of the Sikhism religion. It's called Sikhism